In today's episode, we're going to be going over how to become a ultra, not just a luxury, ultra luxury real estate agent. And we're going to be going over the inside world of ultra luxury real estate agents. To help us with that, we have Sean McPeak. He's with Sirhan Real Estate out of New York. And welcome to the show, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on. So let's jump right into it. Like, let's say I am a brand new agent, don't know anything about real estate. If I wanted to get into the ultra luxury world, what would you recommend?
If you're brand new, I'd recommend working for another agent or a large team whose business you'd want to emulate and mimic. I would say, do some of their grunt work for free. If you have zero experience, you don't really have a tremendous amount to offer other than, your time, energy, and availability.
It's funny. I asked somebody how to become a loan officer yesterday, and they said, when you're looking for your first position, you're not looking for the money. You're looking to learn. Where am I going to learn the best?
Right.
Now, I wanted to ask you, like on social media, if you look on social media, everybody looks like they're doing great. And the reality is that not all of them are doing as great as they appear on social media. How do you go through that vetting process of making sure that whoever you're finding to go under or go work for is actually the real deal versus somebody who looks successful but really isn't?
I mean, I think it has a lot to do with, your personal judgment. Do you trust your personal judgment? There's a lot of ways to verify who's doing deals, who's doing sales. You can see their listing pages or closings, press pieces. Their brokerage in New York will release rankings, and you should see some visible awards and things like that when you're looking for a team to join. And then I think just aside from that, it's like you want to really kind of link up with someone whose personality reflects yours, or you have a similar background. Maybe you're both in film production or finance or another industry that you have the same background in. Maybe you went to the same college or had the same major. I'd say like that, along with verifying the sales, would be like the best kind of choice to kind of decide to stay with someone long term.
Yeah. Would you say that anybody can do luxury real estate, or is there certain characteristics that would make somebody better than others?
I wouldn't say you'd have to be born to do it. I think a lot of sales is hard work and learning about other sales and industries and markets as well to just become a well-rounded salesperson. But I would say there is a certain type of person. I mean, when you're talking luxury real estate, a type of person has to be kind of living it. You got to live it and breathe it. So if you can't afford the nice car, you can't get in a nice neighborhood or building, you need to be doing the other legwork at night. You need to be out at events where you can network and be seen, industry events, but mainly high end kind of social gatherings, clubs, stuff like that.
How do you stand out? Like, if you want to get into, like, I mean, like, if you're doing all these things, like, how do you like differentiate yourself from everybody else?
I think some of the time it's sharing interest and being genuine and just being able to consistently do something with a group of people that you want to fit in with. Um, I think there's other things you can do. I mean, I've done networking groups. I offer people help with their content marketing. Other things I can do maybe outside of real estate. I offer to read people's leases all the time. In New York, there's always problems with rentals and landlords and management companies. So when people, want to, have a real estate conversation, just let them know you're there not to charge them. We advise people on deals all the time we have nothing to do with. But that's just kind of, branding yourself as a little bit of like a real estate resource. The real estate 911 phone call, could be going to you.
Yeah.
So people, even super luxury clients or, very successful, smart people, do get tripped up in very simple real estate deals. So I would say offer yourself as a resource, and then, your personal brand is ultimately how you're going to, become, known.
Yeah. What is considered ultra luxury versus just luxury?
I I would say in New York City, you're talking over $3,000 price per square foot would
Hmm.
be ultra luxury. So our ultra luxury category has buildings like 432 Park, 157, Central Park Tower, 520 Park. So a lot of that Central Park real estate, and then downtown. You're talking Tribeca, Soho, West Village. Townhouses. Where all the Facebook executives are buying, Amazon people, Google executives. You're talking, high end townhouses, doorman buildings in extremely rare neighborhoods, certain lofts, things like that would categorize as ultra luxury.
I don't know if you would be able to answer this, but how would these clients differentiate yourself from just like a traditional client? Like,
Differentiate me.
no, no. How would like how are they different? Is it like some agents are like, oh, I could never do luxury because maybe I don't have the experience, or maybe like are their expectations different? Like, what do they
Yeah.
what it, or let me reverse it. What do the ultra luxury clients look for in people, like agents?
They look for aggressive but respectful follow up. They look to have someone who has an organization behind them. They expect data, information, comps, answers, services fast. So if you really want to consistently do well in like that luxury real estate sector in this market, and I suspect California as well, you need to
Yeah.
have an assistant, listing coordinator, a marketing person. You need to really have like a machine and an operation humming in the background, to make you more efficient and kind of be a multiplier of your efforts. So if you're going to leave someone's house and take 2 days to send them, comparable sales data on their house, let's say it's a really difficult thing to comp. That's not going to be good enough for a lot of these people. So delays, and high quality information and services and responsiveness is a no go. So you really have to be on the ball. Typically, you have to be able to hand them or some of the people they work with off to other people in your organization in order to kind of satisfy their needs. And their needs typically revolve around time and the lack of time they have.
So basically, speed is very important. Basically, getting stuff done
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. Say
Yeah.
fast, efficiently. They want to, even your sales materials and your, sales decks need to be very high end, very informative. You can't just make stuff on PowerPoint. You really have to invest in your business. Your services should feel almost like a concierge or a hotel, um, when you want to really deal with the high end clientele. I mean, I'm sure you've had it where your clients have asked
Yeah.
you to source things that have nothing to do with selling real estate. It could be a landscaper, it could be someone to fix their driveway, an engineer, an electrician, or they could ask you a question about cars, or you could be providing experience, concert tickets, Broadway plays, just different stuff like that. Sometimes our clients come into town and they want to know what's going on, and you don't turn them away or tell them no. You kind of have the inside knowledge and connections that you can kind of share with them to make their whole life a good experience. It's very much experiential.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Walk us through your real estate journey. Like, how did you get started? How old were you? Like, how did you get your first sale? How did you get your first big break? What did that look like?
I started in 2009. After I graduated college, I worked in tech and IT.
Hmm.
I worked at a software company for a few summers, and then I got on with them full time. And then it
Hmm.
just really wasn't for me. I was working from home after college, and nobody was working from home back then. So I was looking for jobs, and it was in the teeth of the recession. We had no real great job prospects. I studied marketing management at Siena
Hmm.
College in Albany, and it was a very difficult job market. And a lot of the jobs, that I could get were extremely low salaries for that time, or you needed multiple years of experience, and you were kind of interviewing against people who had maybe have been working for 10 to 15 years for almost
Hmm.
borderline entry level jobs. That's how you know difficult and competitive the job market became. So
Hmm.
I had flipped a couple of houses with my mom growing up. Always knew I wanted to be involved with real estate as an investor or, as a developer. I was always interested in the asset class. And then I just got into it in 2009 and, started doing rentals in New York, which can be really lucrative. And then I started joining different teams until I formed my own team in 2014. And yeah, I worked at some of the biggest names in real estate: Compass, Douglas Elliman. Now I'm at Sirhan. I joined during the pandemic in 2020 when Ryan started the company. Had known him for almost 10 years prior to joining. So I was definitely, in the industry a long time, and I've worked with some of the biggest names and on some of the biggest projects here in New York.
What did you see at Sirhan that maybe is a little bit different than the other companies?
I think first of all, the CEO is a deal maker. He's still doing deals as a broker. So I think that separates the kind of mentality of the whole company from every other company, because you have a lot of executives and you have some bureaucracy that is kind of formed in other companies, and it's not really coming from brokers. So our company is very much about um, growing your personal brands, showing it to the world, getting the most attention, and then our secret sauce is our video marketing. We have award-winning film studio in house. All the employees work for Sirhan, and they're working on real estate and lifestyle content. 5 days a week. So that really separates us. And just the philosophy of the CEO with having a large education platform, 22,000 subscribers. We have access to all those course materials as being members of the brokerage. And people pay thousands of dollars for stuff like that. So it's really about growing your business, growing your brands, and stepping up your price points, like talking exactly about this, how to get into ultra luxury. Well, if you work at Sirhan, you're going to be exposed to ultra luxury, and the brand is associated with luxury in many cases and in many people's minds.
Yeah. Talk about leasing. So this is I've heard that in order to get into luxury, sometimes it's good to start off in the leasing or even just to get into real estate. Some agents start off in leasing because it basically just allows you to create relationships with people that you may have not had relationships with. And it's underserved in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
How did that help you focusing on leasing? And was that helpful to your career at all?
I think leasing for me, it was almost like practice. It's like you wouldn't go to a basketball game and, shoot foul shots and without practicing, without shooting around the gym, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you played a men's league basketball, like you're gonna maybe shoot foul shots after you work out, or practice a little bit before a game. So I kind of look at leasing like that, and then you make contacts. You'll eventually have to do leasing of some sort in New York. So
Hmm.
you're gonna have to, if you sell real estate, there's a very good chance you're selling it to an investor, and they're going to want you screening their tenants, and you almost act as a pseudo property manager in some cases,
Hmm.
which you have to try to avoid because it can eat up a lot of your time over many years. So there's a lot of benefit to learning leasing. I mean, my philosophy is that you should be well rounded and know all facets of the kind of real estate market and the mechanics of
Hmm.
how everything works. Because you're going to run into all different types of requests and people. They're going to need all different types of knowledge and resources. You're effectively acting as a consultant and saving them time and teaching them the real estate market when you meet someone, especially a high end investor. So if you want to do leasing, I mean, I would even look into short term rentals. People who are renovating their houses will call you. Firing up a little service. Even helping people with roommates and things like that. It's, random people ask me for random stuff, and I'll connect them with random things. So I think it's good to be well versed in leasing and everything, because you're going to have to do it eventually.
Yeah. So basically, it allows you to kind of build relationships with people. And in New York, it's almost like a requirement to have some sort of background in it.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're working on like a new development and that's all you do is you sell the same apartments and walk around the same building, you might not have to. But a lot of those buyers that come in are asking about, rental yields and leasing policies in the building and what other things. People just want to know everything when they walk and see something in New York. They want to know how much the apartments rent for, what goes on in the area. So just like focusing on one thing is not going to help you sustain success.
Yeah. Does it make sense to buy apartments in New York,
Yeah.
like for rent?
To rent out.
Yeah, like from a cash flow perspective.
I mean, the cash flow, if you're really just, shopping kind of retail, let's call it, you're probably expecting around 4%. It's more of like an asset appreciation type of mindset.
Hmm.
So you'll be expecting the apartment to increase in value in the future.
Got it.
That's a lot of the mindset is, unless you can find a value add, or like right now the market's very much down, so you can negotiate deals. You haven't really been able to negotiate a deal for like 10% plus on New York real estate. I mean, pretty much since 2011 or 12, the market's
Hmm.
been pretty strong. Even during COVID, there, a lot of people just opted not to sell because it wasn't really like a liquidity issue or a jobs issue, let's say here. So now is definitely a good time for that.
To get in it.
Yeah,
What's the highest sale of your career ever been?
the high sale of my career, 23 million.
Good for you, man. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about lead generation.
Yeah,
I know what kind of lead generation methods we use. It's a lot of proactive, like reaching out to homeowners, expires for sale by owners,
yeah.
probates, pre foreclosures, just a bunch of different things. Like, what does lead generation in the ultra luxury space look like?
It's a lot of phone calls. I mean, I think reaching out to owners, their family offices, getting in touch with groups, getting people's emails, phone numbers, getting out in front of them, offering them something. I mean, everyone's different. You can't just have a mass prospecting
Hmm.
strategy. It has to be, you're really probably going to go through, 500 to 2,000 people, you know, um, throughout the course of a year to either find a buyer for your listing. Very much works as making phone calls, calling people to let them know about the deal, have them revisit the deal, and just getting it in front of the right people. And sometimes the people in the sphere are the people who are actually going to buy it.
Got it. What about like is there like a certain amount of calls to make a day? Like hours calls?
I've gone. It's good. It's good to have. I would recommend hiring someone to make calls for you and emails and texts in that luxury sector. I think putting an endless time on making calls every week, every month, every year for the rest of your career. I think a lot of people kind of lose
Yeah.
sight of what you're really doing. I mean, I've heard this new metric. If you speak to 2,000 people, you're pretty much good. You're pretty much
Yeah.
done. You're pretty much done cold calling. If you can get 2,000 responses, so that could be over the course of a year, 2 years. But if you really want to get through a couple hundred, a couple thousand people, you can make a career for yourself. So whatever you can tolerate. I mean, I think it's almost like going to the gym, cold calling and prospecting. If you go to
Hmm.
the gym 3 hours a day, for the first 3 days of the week, you're not going to be able to make it there probably, the fourth and fifth day where the consistency is really going to get you the gains in the gym. And I think prospecting and work in general is like that. So yes, it's nice to have a schedule, but at the same time, I think it's okay to have light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, for sure. What does marketing look like when you're marketing a luxury listing? Like, what are the expectations? Like, how much, like, do you have to spend to market a listing?
Well, we have we have a signature package at Sirhan for properties over $10 million. They get their own custom website, so we rebrand the property. We'll make a logo for the address or for the property itself. We take regular, property photographs, but then we have an editorial come in, photographer from in house. They'll shoot some close ups, some details. They'll even take portraits of the listing agents in the property as well. So all super highly produced stuff. We'll remake the floor plans. Floor plans are very important with selling in New York. We have a signature video package, which more camera crew and lighting will come.
Hmm.
Drone videos will be included in that. So just like on its face, there's a lot of graphic design, a lot of video, a lot of photography, probably triple the amount of a normal property. And then we also use, public relations, press. Um, I do a lot of influencer marketing personally. So I work with a lot of influencers, real estate influencers in New York City, even outside New York City, even people that have nothing to do with real estate, I'll collaborate with and do videos with.
Hmm.
So we really try to just, make it, um, you know, we almost never hear that you didn't do enough marketing. I think a lot of our marketing and the way we show properties and the amount of experience like we have on my team, it's pretty much undeniable that the marketing wasn't good enough. So we're pretty good at auditing old listings, bringing them back to market, repackaging. So that's very much our bread and butter is making sure that all gets out there. Sometimes we buy lists of investors of different potential buyers. We don't do a lot of SEO marketing, but I mean, just to get one of these listed, you're probably talking between like 5 and 7,000, just hard marketing costs. And then, we have our staff and we have a lot of other people working on it. So if you're listing a signature listing package for Sirhan, $10 million plus, there's probably like 6 or 7 people outside my own personal team and my own personal infrastructure that have hands and eyes and are working on the property in addition to me.
Yeah. What did a day to day look like as a new agent, and what does a day to day look like now?
A day to day as a new agent, I mean, you definitely have a lot more freedom. You can go to the park when it's sunny out, or you can take vacations and go to weddings, and take long weekends and stuff a couple times a year. I'd say like once you get your own like really demanding clients, you're not as flexible on your free time. When you're talking luxury, I mean, you're very much living and breathing luxury real estate. So you're going to events at night. You're going to events outside the market. So for us, it's like the Hamptons, Palm Beach, Miami. Those are kind of like our big feeder markets, or where our clients are kind of hanging out. So there could be a polo match. There's a lot of art events, a lot of parties. 4th of July stuff like that. So you're probably doing less of your personal stuff and doing more of like your networking and just being in the right rooms off out of the market, off campus.
What are the right rooms for luxury?
I think it depends. I think there's certain industries that do well during certain economic cycles, in my opinion. So tech's been a big one. Finance has been a big one. Finance can go away. Tech kind of slid in to kind of fill the void a little bit. Although, like the tech kind of employees, I would say, aren't as big spenders as people in finance. But the finance industry very much drives our market.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Are commissions higher or lower in luxury,
I mean, dollar
percentage
wise,
wise?
higher. Yeah. I mean, you get paid on a percentage of the price. So if the price is higher, you get more money, right?
What
They
about
vary,
percentage
though. I
wise?
mean, there's different commission rates for different properties. There's different arrangements, too. I mean, there's certain, sellers and developers who will, contribute to your marketing spend depending on what they want. People are asking me for a lower commission rate. I'll ask them to kind of get some skin in the game, too. So it could be staging, or if they want some special marketing push, or if they want some like really extravagant party or something, that might get tabled, like who's going to share in that expense. It's not necessarily always coming from the real estate team.
Got it. So it depends,
Yeah.
basically. Is 6% typical in the 10, 15, $20 million range?
No, not really.
No.
No.
Got it. What would you say is more like or along the average? Like down here, we're kind of hovering around like typical. You're seeing a lot of fives, and then in some cases, you're even seeing like 4.5 or even like 4%, basically.
I mean, well, right now with all these lawsuits swirling around, you're seeing a lot of people negotiate these. A lot of people are trying to, pay 1% to the buyer's agent, or zero, or collect from your buyer or something. Um, it's hard to say. I mean, this is a question. It's so up in the air right now. A lot of
Hmm.
developers around here, they'll pay a buyer's broker 4 or 5% just to bring a buyer for a slower building.
Hmm.
So that's a huge commission, commission incentives work. I don't think you could pay someone a salary to do this job. I think it's been tried many times and it's never worked. You really need people going the extra mile to close real estate deals, as I'm sure you're fully aware. Um,
Yeah.
if you're on an hourly kind of schedule as a broker, you're probably not closing a lot of deals. You just have to go the extra mile in the middle of the night, early in the morning, at random times when it's inconvenient for you in order to close a deal. Commissions, on one hand, they've kind of gone down, but on the other hand, you have large developers
Prices.
selling 20, 50, $200 million apartments for offering 5% commission just to one side of the deal. Why would they do that? It's because they know it works and it can make a big difference and also can enable a broker to put some money into the deal too. Who knows what they're spending money on to get a buyer to close? They could be flying them in, could be taking them out to dinner, booking luxury travel, cars, whatever. We spend money. So it only makes sense to pay money um, so that, a good broker can, be financially enabled to figure it out and do it well. So I think that factors into it. A lot of people don't talk about it.
Yeah. Um, what are some of the biggest challenges right now happening with New York real estate?
Biggest challenge is definitely interest rates have really slowed down certain segments of the market. I think in New York, there's an issue with crime right now. Um, there's a little issue with homelessness, but we're all old enough to remember here that these were not issues a couple years ago. So it's mainly a political issue, I'd say. But definitely just taxes, interest rates, kind of the approach to policing are kind of like the main issues right now here.
Yeah. What about technology as a luxury real estate agent?
What kind of technology like
Yeah.
are we using? Yeah, I mean, I think it's critical to have a look and feel of an Apple product for a lot of the things you do, right? Like you want to have a
Yeah.
familiarity and an efficiency to deal with your clients. We use artificial intelligence quite heavily right now on my
Hmm.
team, whether it's for creative writing up plans, open house things. Um, we're using it to kind of scan data, clean lists of people. We're using artificial intelligence as much as we can right now to just kind of be a force multiplier for each and every agent. I strongly recommend people use it daily if they want to keep pace with just everything, not even just your real estate competitors, but the world in general. It seems like we've gone parabolic on the speed of business in certain
Hmm.
cases.
Got it. Okay. Any final words? Anything else that would help somebody in the luxury space?
I would say, right, like I mentioned, just joining a team, understanding just the luxury lifestyle, even outside the property. Understand cars, country clubs, vacation destinations. Like, where are these clients coming from? Where are they going? What's the favorite thing to do? What makes them feel safe? Like, what kind of makes them tick? Like, what are the considerations? Someone buying a $15 million property has very different concerns in their life than people buying a $1 million property. Um, and also I'd say the one last tip is, don't talk about your personal financial restraints or budgeting or anything like that. People don't want to hear it. You have to relate to them on what matters to them. You have to really emotionally match that person and live in their world, even though it might not necessarily be your reality at the moment.
What does that mean? Don't talk about your budget. Like how so?
If they say we're going to Nobu, okay, and you're like, well, I wouldn't go there because I wouldn't pay $200 a plate for a date or whatever, or split a bill or
Yeah.
something like that. don't say that. Just don't say anything. Just be like, oh, it was, one of my favorite meals of 2023 was there. Just don't bullshit, but don't, um, bring them down to, unfortunately, your level in reality. So you should be relatable. Don't be phony, but don't butt in and be like, I would never buy that car. The gas mileage is horrible and gas is expensive or something like that. So definitely try to relate. Um, don't talk about money on a personal level, and just feel it out and spend as much time in those rooms as possible. It might not even be in
Good.
town.
Yeah. And if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, or somebody maybe wanted to refer somebody to you, or kind of seek mentorship, where can they do that?
You can email me at sean.mcpeak@sirhan.com. You can follow me on Instagram. You can DM me. You can call me. You can Google me. You can find me on sirhan.com. You'll be seeing a lot of us. You'll be seeing a lot of noise coming out of the Sirhan area of the internet. We're the most followed brand in real estate. You can't really miss us if you're looking at real estate brokerages and YouTube and all that. So
I
we're
love
out
it.
there.
Love it. Good, man. Well, Sean, I want to say thank you for taking the time to be on the show. For our viewers out there, if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you feel that this episode will be helpful to somebody, make sure to hit that share button. Thanks again, Sean. To our viewers, we appreciate you. And until next time.